project our own feelings about something onto our customers. So we say, I don't want to put a pop-up cross-sell because I think it's going to be annoying, or I
Mm.
don't want to use a pop-up to collect email because I think it's going to be annoying. I don't want to send email. I hate getting email. Or SMS, right? Like, oh no, I don't know. I don't like SMS. Yep. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
Lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou. Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today we're going to be discussing quick wins for e-commerce success. Make more money. I was going to do this. Make more money in 24 hours. We're going to be discussing the mistakes sellers make all the time, the kind of mindset you need when running an e-commerce store, and if you should hire someone and when is the best time to do it. Welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. All right, I can't see myself, but I apologize if I have chocolate in my teeth. Just finished a chocolate bar. All right, today we're going to discuss quick wins for e-commerce success. Make more dollars in 24 hours. Our guest today is founder and CEO of e-commerce badassery. What a great name. She is also an e-commerce and email marketing strategist for scrappy entrepreneurs. She's worked in corporate retail for 20 years, owned her own multi-six-figure brick and mortar clothing boutique, and spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store, learning from top experts in the digital marketing e-commerce industry. So please welcome first-time guest, Jessica Totillo Coster. Did I do it, Jessica? Anyways, let's hear from a word from our sponsor, and then we'll get back to Jessica. Are you struggling to keep up with your Amazon business? Do you need help from a skilled, reliable virtual assistant? Well, look no further than the Virtual Assistant Academy, or VAA Philippines. Founded by successful Amazon sellers who know the challenges of hiring quality VAs, VAA specializes in locating, screening, training, and supporting high-quality VAs in the Philippines. Their VAs receive extensive Amazon training and ongoing professional development and are committed to a long-term working relationship with you. Partner with VAA and experience the peace of mind knowing that you have a dedicated Amazon-trained VA who's up to date with the latest tools and trends in the dynamic Amazon marketplace. Head over to VAAphilippines.com and let VAA match you with your ideal VA today. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, what's happening, Norm? I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun, and it's a topic that I think is pretty cool. So we're talking about a bunch of different things today. So I understand you're in beautiful Los Angeles right now.
Yes, I am. You can see that sun shining on through, messes up my lighting, but it's okay. I can't seem to block it out fully, but it could be worse, right?
It could be. You could be living in northern Canada, and there could be snow, but it is a nice day up here. Okay, so why don't we talk a little bit about you and what you've been doing? Your bio intrigues me. So you say that you've learned from some top level digital marketers and e-commerce people. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah. So in my previous day job, I started working in that company doing marketing for their brick and mortar because that was really my background. And I was there for about 3 years and we decided we're going to take e-commerce in-house because we had this like white label site. We didn't really do anything with it. We barely drove traffic to it. And I had had a little bit of ecom experience and they really wanted someone who had been with the company for a while to be the one to take it over. So I was really excited. And then I realized that it was going to be me and a part-time person who packed and shipped orders. But because that brand already was recognized in the space, like we were doing 7 figures from the beginning, right? That didn't mean we didn't struggle with conversion and all the things that e-commerce businesses struggle with. It just means we had a lot of work to do with not a lot of resources. And I cried a lot at that job, but I wouldn't take any of it back because I learned so much. Eventually, we had a new chief technology officer come in and said, "Hey, if you want to grow this business, she can't be the only employee. So can we like start hiring people?" And I was like, yay. And so between, the consultants that we hired and the team that we had and the people we brought in, it was the best learning experience I ever had. And now I just kind of take everything I learned the hard way and teach it to that mid-level ecom entrepreneur so that they don't have to go through what I went through.
Got it. You did say something in there that really hit home, that you cried a lot.
Yeah.
I cry a lot over Kelsey quite a bit, but anyways, that's just part of the routine.
Yeah.
So how did you go from what you were doing there and then taking that and I guess going right into ecom badassery?
Yeah. So it was actually by accident. I don't know if you remember a few years ago when MailChimp and Shopify broke up. And there were a lot of e-commerce entrepreneurs that were kind of freaking out. They didn't know what to do. And at that time, I was still working, but I was hanging out in a lot of entrepreneurial Facebook groups because I just love being around that energy. And I knew that I was going to have another business. I just didn't know what it was going to be. I assumed it was going to be a product-based business because that's just what I'd always been doing. And never did I think that I had knowledge people would pay me for, right? Because you take your own knowledge for granted. You think everybody knows what you know. So I started talking to people about the Klaviyo email platform because I had already been using it for multiple years in my previous business. And then people started messaging me and saying, "Hey, I need help getting set up on this platform," or "Hey, I've been using it, but I'm really struggling," or "I just suck at email. Can you help me?" And that's really how it started. So, I had those first couple of clients that I worked with, and then just from referral, it really just started to snowball. And eventually I said, "Oh, I think there's a business here." And I did it on the side for about 18 months because COVID happened and I was too scared to quit my job. And then I eventually went all in September of 2020.
So I know there's a wide variety of e-commerce sellers listening right now, either from the Amazon, Walmart side, Shopify site. This is probably more towards the Amazon users that are on here, because I know there are some very successful people listening right now, as well as some people that are just starting out. I'm curious, have you gone over to email? Have you been able to trap your customers or Amazon's customers' email? And have you been able to do any type of successful email marketing? We talk about this quite a bit, that if you put together your proper campaigns and do this on a regular basis, over 40% of your income, of your revenue, could come in through email marketing. And I'm going to sneeze just a sec. Thank God for mute buttons. You did not want to hear that. Anyways, I'm just kind of curious, because even though we know that this can drive extra sales, a lot of people don't do it. Same with content marketing, influencer marketing, all those things. Just kind of curious about that. And then one of the other things you were mentioning earlier on before the podcast is about these quick wins people can make literally within 24 hours. You want to throw out some of these tips?
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to frame this for everyone a little bit. And when you're thinking about how to grow your e-commerce business, and I typically speak to those who have their own website, whether it's, Shopify, WooCommerce, etc. I'm not as versed in the marketplaces personally, but there's really only 3 ways that you can make more money in your business. You can acquire new customers, you can bring your existing customers back more often, or you can just get them to shop more while they're already shopping. And so the easiest one is to get them to spend more when they're already shopping, which essentially means to raise your AOV. And so that's always the first place I like to start with people when they are trying to just generally increase their revenue. So there's two things that we can all do right now in order to get on the path to increased AOV.
Okay.
The first thing is to use some sort of cross-sell or post-purchase cross-sell app. And typically what I see people do is they just use like a really passive, oh, you may also like, right? Like on the bottom of the product page. Nobody's looking at those. So instead, what I'd rather see you do is either interrupt the shopping experience. It's not for every business, but it's something you can test where after they add a product to cart or right before they hit the start checkout button to offer them some complimentary products. And then the other place you can do that is after they've already paid you. Because those post-purchase cross-sells, they convert so well because when they're just shopping on your website, they're still deciding if they're going to actually pay you. Do they trust you? Do they think they're going to get this product, right? But once they've paid you, now they're in. And they're super excited because they just got a little dopamine hit. So you have a huge opportunity to increase that AOV even after the purchase happened. But there's a couple of things that you do want to keep in mind when you're setting these up. It's going to completely depend on your product assortment, your price point, etc. But you want to make that cross-sell item about 30% of the retail price of the item they were already buying. Because if I come to you and I'm buying a $60 item and you offer me another $60 item, I'm probably not going to double what I was spending, right? That's like, oh, that's kind of a lot. But if you offer me a $20 item, well, oh, that's not so bad. Another $20. Like I could do that. So keep that in mind when you are creating those. And there's so many little different things you can test and do. But the concept is the same. Think about your experience if you were in a brick and mortar, right? Like it's the do you want fries with that experience on your website. If you've been to a grocery store in the last, 30 years, you've seen all the impulse fixtures by the cash register. Like that is not a mistake. That is all very intentional. If you've ever been in an Old Navy, they send you down a whole little rabbit hole of small little items while you're waiting in line to buy your t-shirts, right? So how do you create that experience on the internet? And that's the way you do it. And I've never seen it not work for someone.
And pretty much any product can do this. Like when you're talking about add-ons, I know with like knives, so we promote knives, a honing rod, polishing stone, I mean, not very expensive. And you can give that away even for 50% off, and you're still probably making a good buck. For me with soap, what's the obvious thing? Well, it could be a soap mitt. It could be a back scrubber. It could be a soap dish. And these soap dishes, they look beautiful, but they don't cost that much. And yet I could give them 50% off and still have a solid sale. When you're doing this, are you still, when you have this app, so let's say Shopify, so you drive somebody over to your Shopify store to get onto your list or to get a sale going, are you still doing the upsell, downsell, cross-sell?
So it depends.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing the cross-sell 100%. And if the upsell is natural, and when I refer to cross-sell versus upsell, a cross-sell is something complementary. An upsell is truly a bigger version of something that's going to replace what the customer was originally buying. So if you think about a protein powder, maybe they're buying the 12 ounce, you're going to try and sell them the 24 ounce. It depends on your assortment. I think the fewer products you sell overall, so the narrower your assortment, the deeper you can go in the actual purchase funnel. So because I liken it a little bit to how, people sell information on the internet. You come to someone to buy a course, right? And then they're going to sell you the worksheet, and then they're going to sell you this other thing. So if you only have 3 products that you sell, do it. If you have a really big assortment and people come back and buy from you a lot, then I think it's just like a little bit awkward and not a great customer experience, but it's worth it to test it. You never know. And one of the other things you can think about is, depending upon the product you sell, that cross-sell item can be a digital product. So I think, product-based businesses don't often think about how they can actually take advantage of very high margin digital products that you create once and sell over and over. So for instance, I worked with a previous client. She sold nursing sports bras, and she was a personal trainer in her previous life, became a mom, created this product, but she has this PDF digital workout for mom, postpartum thing. She sells that thing all day, every day. She only had to create it one time. So there's also a possibility to do that. And you're really only limited by your imagination. And I think ultimately, in any strategy that you are going to implement in your e-commerce business, just test it and see what happens. The market will tell you if they want what you have,
Yeah, one of the other little things that we do with our company, it's not expensive at all, is we have enough room in our 3-pack, 5-pack to allow for other samples. So it could be a new soap scent that you cannot get on Amazon. It could be just a different product. Like, for example, we sell cold processed soap. We might have a liquid or a concentrated black African soap that we'll just put into the box and send it out. So not only do they get their discount, their discounted product that they're all happy about, but when they get it, they get that, and they get, I've always talked about handwritten notes. We have just a very generic handwritten note. Thanks for your order, blah, 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 blah. And when they open it up, it comes back to that customer experience. Are they going to remember the brand? Are they going to come back to you? So what you're doing right off the bat, what you're doing is getting people stimulated, first of all, and excited about the customer experience. They're already excited that, wow, they're getting such a great deal. Then they get it, they open up their box, and wow, look at what else I got. Not every brand can do that, but there's a heck of a lot of brands that can do something like that. And I love what you talked about with the PDFs. I have a customer or a client right now who has come out with a brilliant patented product for home workout. It takes 5 seconds to set up and you're off to the races. And if you're listening, you know who you are. And all he did was come up with a simple QR code that goes to a ton of workouts that he's produced. And it just, it gives that person that, not the client, the customer, just that extra value that they weren't expecting.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And here's like, when someone comes and buys from you, they are the most engaged with your brand that they're ever going to be, especially like that first time. They're really in it, right? They want to see what's happening. What's the post-purchase experience like and all that kind of stuff. So you have such a huge opportunity to make a really big impact. And this doesn't typically come up in my quick wins, but it should actually. I'm going to add this to the list when I do this topic on people's podcasts, is using email to create a really great post-purchase experience as well. So I always do a text-based thank you email. Thank you, for supporting my small business, for making your first purchase, etc. But it's all text-based, so it looks like you sat down at your desk and wrote it just for them. And I remember one of the first times I set this up for someone, she messaged me. I think we were actually still like in the project, but we were on a call and she said, "Oh, I got this message on Instagram the other day and this customer said like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for your email. That was so sweet of you." And she's like, "I had no idea what the customer was talking about." And then I remembered that I had this email. So this customer took the time to go on to Instagram, to find her account, to send her a DM to say thank you for an email that was sent automatically, and this client didn't have to do any work. So it's way more impactful than we think it is, right?
Right.
Sometimes we think these things are like dumb and silly and nobody cares, but to the customer, they're huge.
Every little add-on. Sometimes I say that it's the very smallest things that mean the most. And it could be psychological too, just by
Yeah.
putting an extra layer of tamper-proof something on your supplements. It
Right.
just, it's a half a penny, but it means a lot. Changing the colors between and this happened this weekend or last weekend at the Marriott. I went in there and all three bottles in the shower were exactly the same, except for a tiny little print: shampoo, conditioner, body gel. Well, just change the caps. So, shampoo, conditioner, or body gel, or whatever, something
Yeah.
like that, instead of having to squirt it onto your hand, figure out whether
It
this is
out.
shampoo or
Yeah.
conditioner, but
Yeah.
these are the little things.
And here's the other thing too, like as smaller businesses, we're always trying to figure out how do we stand out from the big guy, right? How do we create this better experience? That's how.
Yeah.
The big guy can't do that. It's literally impossible for them to create those sorts of experiences, but you can. And that's the thing that, really will make your small business stand out and why people will choose to shop with you over someone else.
And I think it's important that's why you exist, because
Yeah.
people in the bubble, like you've created, you're passionate about your product. A lot of the times, that I know I've got a very experienced seller that I know is listening right now. I hope he didn't click off, but Simon, he's sold a ton of these products. He's in the envelope, right? Now, can he see the little or the smaller, minute things that you, being an expert at what you do, could help him out with? And that's one of the reasons I think I know a lot about e-commerce, but I still go to experts because I don't know it all. And
Yeah. None of us
experts,
know it all.
none of us
None of
do.
us.
We're
Yeah.
constantly learning. I subscribe Digital Marketer. I listen to them. I subscribe to their courses. I go to, like, there's just a ton of different things to constantly help me learn. But at the end of the day, who do I go to? Well, Kelsey, of course. But other than Kelsey, experts to help me get the insight that I need to get that extra point in the sales to make me stand out from the crowd. So,
Absolutely.
and yeah, Simon, I know Jack about it.
Jack about nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Not, it's funny. Like, I have a biz friend who does Facebook ads for e-commerce businesses, and we do a lot of stuff, together, and we have a membership together. And she'll often refer to me as an expert. I'm like, I'm not an expert. I'm just a strategist. Right? Like there are other people out there that know more than I know about different things. And so I try so hard to avoid that, only because I think we often just like get in our own way because we think we know the best way and we know the only way and all of that. And that's just simply not true. And I think too, with e-commerce and just the customer experience on the internet is just changing all of the time, and consumers are getting savvier and their expectations are increasing. And anytime I hear someone say like, oh, I want to start an ecom business so I can make passive income. And I'm like, well, you're in the wrong business, because this is not passive, friend. This is like
It's work.
one big experiment that you are going to be testing and tweaking for as long as you own it.
We, our family sold a business, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to kick back. I'm going to retire for a while, semi-retire. And then a friend of mine introduced me into day trading. The reason I got into it was I always heard that, oh, you only have to work a few hours a day. That friggin' thing, I was I was working 10 times harder,
Yeah.
and I was stressed. That's where I lost all my hair. And
Yeah.
I wasn't an expert at it. I spent a lot of money, a ton of money training, and I found out I needed a lot more training to be successful at it. It's not that simple. And that's exactly like e-commerce. You can do a
Yeah.
great job. You can go on Amazon. You've got to learn it. You have to understand it, and you have to be resilient. I say that quite a bit, but you have to learn about external traffic and these other things to really be successful. And if you're not willing to do it, if you think that you could just organically go to Amazon, put up a listing right now, you're thinking down the wrong line. You will not make it. It is a pay
Yeah.
to play platform, completely different than what it was. I'm looking at the time and just want to say, look, if you're listening right now, we got a big audience. If you're listening right now, uh, what do you do to stand out? What is something unique that makes you stand out from the crowd? And are you doing any cross promotion? Let us know. Also, don't be shy. We got a bunch of people here, a lot of people in the comment section, and we want to know your questions. We've got the expert here, Jessica, and I'm not going to say, I'll say the strategist.
Strategist.
The
Yes.
strategist is here. And if we have any questions, please give us an answer. We're going to be here to the top of the hour. And before we do that, if you're new, and I see there's a lot of people on YouTube that's been listening. If you're listening for the first time, we have something called the Wheel of Kelsey, and that's a special giveaway at the end for one person. So how do you enter into that giveaway? Hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. If you tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. Now, Jessica, what is the Wheel of Kelsey today?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite things to do, and why, thank you, Norm, for encouraging them to ask questions, is my favorite thing to do is just brainstorm and strategize about your specific business. So I'm giving away a free 30-minute consult with me. You can pick my brain. We can talk about whatever it is that you want. And the best part is you're going to submit a form to me ahead of time. So that 30 minutes isn't me just asking you more questions. It's me actually delivering you some strategy. So definitely enter, because the more people I can talk to, the more I know where people need support. And so it's one of my favorite things to do.
Perfect. And this isn't just North America. If you're listening from around the world,
wherever,
this is one that everybody can join. And by the way, Simon, I tried NFTs and understanding it, and I still don't get it. It hurts. That's the second coming of becoming bald. I'm losing all hair now. So anyways, there's some things old guys just can't get, and NFTs is one of them. If somebody can break it down simple for me, do it, but I still don't get it. Okay. All right. All right. So, Kels, let's go to a commercial. I want to give a quick shout out to an incredible group of sponsors who help keep our podcast running. The Lunch with Norm podcast wouldn't be possible without the support of the following sponsors: Wally Smarter, Post Purchase Pro, VAA Philippines, Jeff Schick Law, Rebate, Honu Worldwide, Extreme Power, Dragonfish Brand Management, and Startup Club. Thank you. And now back to our show. Okay. Now let's go to the other side of this. What are some people doing? What mistakes are they making? What are the common mistakes people are making when they're doing these campaigns?
So the cross sell specifically,
we can spread out from there, but let's start with the cross sell.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is not doing it.
That's a big mistake.
Let me explain. So what I find very often, and I am completely guilty of this in my own business, just so you guys know, but we project our own feelings about something onto our customers. So we say, I don't want to put a pop-up cross-sell because I think it's going to be annoying, or I
Mm.
don't want to use a pop-up to collect email because I think it's going to be annoying. I don't want to send email. I hate getting email. Or SMS, right? Like, oh no, I don't know. I don't like SMS. Yep. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it doesn't work or that your customers don't like it. So I think we get in our own way a lot. So I just say, if you are coming up against that sort of resistance, kind of just get over it. I'm not, I don't have great bedside manner, by the way. I'm very blunt and to the point. So if you're thinking about entering, just know that that's probably how the conversation's going to go. So I just say, get out of your own way, just test it out and see what happens. Like, your customers, the data will tell you whether or not it's working, and just give it a chance. So that's really the biggest mistake I see. But then in cross sell specifically is not being intentional enough. Again, if you have a really wide product assortment, in most cases, the algorithm of the app you're using will make decent recommendations based on your best sellers. The smaller your assortment, though, the more specific you want to be with what you offer, because you know what works together best. And you can also think about, what is the no-brainer product? Like you mentioned earlier, Norm, about the soap dish. No-brainer, everybody's going to want that. If you have one of those, definitely use that. And then make sure you actually go back and look at the data and make adjustments. So many of us kind of set something up, and we do this with email too, right? I love email automation because it's set it and forget it, but like, not really. You have to go back and check on it and see how it's performing and if you can tweak it a little bit. And the same is true for those cross sells.
Okay. Now, any other mistakes outside of the cross sells?
Yes. And this is also something else that you can do in 24 hours to raise your average order value, and that is having your free shipping threshold too low. So there are studies done. I don't remember the percentages now. Probably should have looked it up before the podcast. Apologies. But the majority of consumers will add more to their cart just to get free shipping. So if your current free shipping threshold is at or below your current AOV, then I want you to raise it. But I also want you to think about how easy it's going to be for the consumer to get to the next step. So ideally, they only have to add one more product to their cart, and you don't want it to be a $50 product, right? Like,
Right.
That's too much. It should be somewhere in the $5 to $12-ish range, depending on your price points and all of that kind of stuff. But definitely raise it. You can use a cross-sell app even to say, hey, you're only X dollars away from shipping. Here's some stuff you might want to add, and then just show them some items in those price points. Super effective, though.
One of the things that we do when we talk about the free shipping is we'll have a product that's around the $35 mark, and we'll give free shipping, and the product is 35-ish, maybe a little bit higher. But to get the free shipping, you have to buy one more product, and you're halfway or just over halfway there to getting the free product. So you have to do it, and then you'll get the free shipping, which is going to save you some money at the end of the day. So it's again, it's just psychological. You're $10 out. If you don't buy that second product, you're going to have to spend an extra $10 or $12 on shipping.
Right.
So yeah, that's a great strategy.
People would rather get another product than pay for something. Like, shipping is, I hate paying for shipping.
Yeah.
You literally get nothing for it. It just, that money goes out into the ether. So if I can get another product for it, I'm down.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's tangible. So
Yeah.
let's talk about mindset. Pre podcast mindset of an e-commerce of a seller. And there's probably different mindsets for different levels of seller. But if you're getting into the ecom business right now, what type of mindset do you need?
I think the number one thing is that your business is not about you. Your business is about your consumer and what your product can do for them. Is it going to solve their problem? Is it going to bring joy to their life? What is in it for them? We have to get really clear on what that is, and we can definitely dive deeper into that. And then, this is not, like we were saying earlier, this is not a passive get rich quick kind of business. Maybe if your goal is to chase, whatever the trending product is right now, and you're just going to kind of cycle through them and ride those waves, it's a very different kind of business than creating a long-term sustainable e-commerce business that's going to continue to pay you that you're going to potentially exit someday. Like, that's really two different things. And I don't know if the conversation on the internet has shifted, or if I just stopped being in places where this was the conversation, right? Maybe the conversation's still happening. I'm just not there to hear it. But there's this misconception that, oh, you just put up a website and sell a product and all these people are going to come and buy your stuff. And that could not be further from the truth, And as wonderful as platforms like Shopify are, or even the marketplaces are, you are just this one tiny little blip in this huge thing we call the internet. And, if you build it, they will not come. That's not a thing in ecom. And I do see a lot of people who get started, right? Or they hit this plateau and they're like, wow, I really don't know how to get to the next step. And it's, you got to do the work, friend. And, you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows you exist, it doesn't freaking matter.
Yeah, I always say when I'm talking, Kelsey hears me say this all the time, you build the house in the middle of the desert,
Yeah.
but nobody can get
Yeah.
to it because you haven't given them a map or an address and
Yeah.
it is tough. Shopify or just e-commerce stores in general, you've got to build that traffic to build up the interest. And it's not like Amazon where it's a captivated audience. And even there, you've got to make sure that you do all the right things to really take advantage of it. But if you're going out on your own, look, there's lots of people in very specific niche markets that can clean up, but they've got a marketing team that knows how. You can't just, and that's part of budgeting. That's part of your capitalization. If you don't put enough capital aside for your marketing and you concentrate too much on your inventory, then you're done. You're absolutely done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another really good point that you were bringing up. I guess the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was hiring. When is it the right time to hire? Or do you try learning it yourself? We did touch on it, but this is the last point I wanted to bring out.
Yeah, great question. So my personal philosophy is that I want you to be dangerous enough in everything in your business so that when you hire someone, whether or not they're doing a good job. You don't need to be an expert. You don't even need to be the one to do it. But you need to know if someone is BSing you.
Yeah.
That's really, that comes from, working in corporate and working with developers. Oh my God. You do not need a developer for your Shopify store unless you are doing like multi-seven figures. And even then you probably still don't need it. So frustrating because so many people get caught up and then a developer does something custom and then they can't change something, or they go to upgrade or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know who told you needed this, but you don't need this. They screwed you over. Please let me fix this for you. I get very passionate about that because we used a lot of developers in my previous day job, and they are all about how do I get it done the fastest and easiest way for me, not how are you going to manage it later on. So that's sorry, that's a little ranty, but frustrates me to no end. So yeah, I want you to know enough about everything that you don't get screwed over, frankly, but also be careful not to be the bottleneck of your business. I currently am the bottleneck of my business. I am aware and working on it, but this often happens with sellers as well because you think you need to do everything yourself. People who make their products think their hands have to be the one that touches them all the time. Not the case. So it depends where you hire, completely depends on your business. But one of the things that you can kind of ask yourself, I was having a conversation with a client one day, and she was saying how, she wanted to send more emails, but she didn't really have time. And she has someone that helps her now that could probably work more hours, but like she wasn't sure. And I said, okay, if you paid that person and brought them on for more hours, would they be able to send more emails that would essentially pay for their additional hours? And she just paused and was like, oh yeah, probably. And I said, well, then there's your answer, right? So sometimes we have to invest that one step before our business can afford it to get our business to the place where it can afford it.
One of the things that I've noticed, we've hired tons of developers and designers. And one of the things that, if you're trying to save money, kind of backing onto what you just said, and let's say you're going to the Philippines. So tons of really great graphic artists there. But I can tell you that if you're going there and trying to get a $5 or $6 an hour person to work with you, you better check their internet connection and check their computer, because I've seen it where it's so bad that you're really paying more like $20 or $30 an hour because they can't put through the information, and even communicating back and forth sucks because of their internet. So if we've worked with graphic artists in the past, so if they're online with us and they're either a contractor that's part of the team, we always look at their internet and we'll upgrade it for them. But their computer speed is very much, I had probably the best assistant that was helping me. She was from Venezuela and she was awesome. I didn't have to think. She always had it, but she could never read or watch the videos, or she couldn't respond. And it ended up, I had to let her go because her internet was that bad, and I just couldn't communicate with her. And I felt so bad about it. And these are the things that you have to look out for. And the other thing, when you talk about themes or when you talk about getting things done, one of the things that just killed Kelsey and I and this is this year, was an artist that not only did some custom coding, but decided to use the worst theme that we thought looked fantastic. And then a buddy that's been on the podcast a few times, Wilfred Lightheart, he goes, "What are you doing? You don't know? Didn't you know that this theme loads this slow?" And it looked fantastic, but unless you had high speed, it was awful. So we had to strike it down. We had to restart and from scratch. And it was just came back to coding too. So there's so many things, so many horror stories I can tell you about that one word, developer, strikes a nerve with me. So
yeah, same. Now, granted, one of my goals in life is to learn full stack development. I know enough to have a conversation. I know enough to not get screwed over. I know enough to know what is and isn't possible typically, but I want to know how to do it. Probably not going to ever offer development services, but maybe I can be like the BS developer detector or something for business owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like in SEO, right? This is just, I'm pulling it out of the air. Probably 90% of those SEO specialists suck. They absolutely don't know what they're talking about and they're not current. And I
Yeah.
wish, hey, let's set up something, a BS detector service for all of
Yeah,
these
wouldn't that be
services.
cool? I would love that. And here's the thing too, because my previous day job, we worked with an SEO agency. They were great, but their entire team, the people who actually wrote the content, they were all overseas, and we're based in the US, and the language is off and the grammar's incorrect. And you know, I'm sure a lot of what they did was great, but we were also in a bit of a sensitive type industry. So we were always like fiercely protective, and we should all be this way, of our brand voice and that sort of thing. And like obviously I didn't have time to write all the content. I was already wearing like 30 other hats, but it was still so much work to then come in and give feedback and edit and all of that. And so typically what you find in these really big agencies is you've got the 1, 2, 3 people who own it. They're the salespeople, and then their entire team is outsourced. And so, outsourcing is not inherently bad, but when you don't have the visibility into who those people are, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a cynical New Yorker. What can I say?
I think you're bang on. If you're working with an individual, got to make sure that they're not. And this happens too. So I know I'm going down a million rabbit holes, but
Yeah.
this is just venting. So I've worked with this one person, very articulate, perfect grammar overseas, and then I get emails like, "Dear sirs," and can't speak a word of English. Like I'm looking at it, and I email and I say, is this you, or is this
Yeah.
somebody else in your firm? And they always say, no, that's me. I was just tired. And
Yeah.
that they're lying. And then that's the day
Yeah.
they get canned. But anyways, that's just another point
Yeah.
that's,
Just watch out for that stuff in your
yeah,
business. Yeah.
yeah. And I got to talk to you after the podcast, because that BS service is something I bet people could use.
I
Anyways,
know.
there's a
Yeah.
couple of questions. I just want to warn everybody that to get into this absolutely great giveaway today, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you get a second entry, and you've got a 30-minute consult with Jessica. And before you get on the phone with her, you're going to answer a bunch of questions. So when you get on, it's rock solid information that she's going to be providing. So, Kels, let's get into the questions.
All right. So we have a couple questions. One is from Rad. We are only 2 years old in e-commerce. It's an arduous task to get the emails from Amazon. Some companies sell emails of customers who visit the trade shows. Can we trust their email listings? And if not, how can someone start collecting emails? What should they do?
Yeah, definitely never buy a list. It's never a good thing to buy a list. I've never seen a clean list at all. I don't know all the rules around Amazon, but I do know that they have some more internal tools that you can use now, right? That they released, I feel like late last year or mid last year.
They have what they allow you to do is you can email using their tool. So it's called engagement. And this is repeat customers and followers. So that's why it's so important on Amazon to really build up your brand community and followers, because then you do have access to send out limited promotions. It's not like a typical email, but what we do is we put the insert in the QR code. It's a dynamic QR code, so we can change it on the season or the promotion, send them over, and we get the email that way. So the other thing you can do with this, there's a variety of different things that you can do. One of them is and this is it's a little controversial, but sweepstakes. You can work with a sweepstakes company that gather, let's say it's social conscious brands, and you have to give away a gift card of X. But it goes out to all these people that sign up to win this particular type of brand or type of product. And you'll end up with 3,000 to 5,000 different emails, which then you can send out. Or there's many other ways of doing this. You could set up loyalty or referral emails and make it like gamify it a little bit. But there are ways that you can build up a list.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Giveaways are not, or sweepstakes, they're not inherently bad, right? You just have to know going in that a lot of them are going to be people who want free stuff. And, once you notice that they're not engaging, to just clean them off your list so you don't hurt your deliverability. But they're absolutely, especially if you are not on your own platform, they're a great way to get in front of other people's businesses. And that's actually one of my favorite ways to grow too. Not the giveaway specifically, but getting in front of other people's audiences. I'm here on the Lunch with Norm podcast to get in front of his audience, right? So new people can discover me. And so if you have any sort of social media presence, even if you're just an Amazon seller and you don't have your own website, that's fine. You guys can still do promotions together, cross promotions if you sell complementary products, that sort of thing. So I think the biggest thing is we just have to get out in front of the people as much as we possibly can.
And when you're talking about that cross promotion on Amazon, you've got a knife. Well, maybe you go to a cutting board company, or somebody that sells something complementary to that knife, and then you can tag on. Or in the Shopify world or ecom, same thing. Go out there, find somebody who sells a product and do a joint promotion. Get exactly like you were saying, cross promotion with your with friendly competitors out there or people that have add-on products. That's the way you can gather a list fairly inexpensively.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many ways that you can do that. And I don't know if you have any Etsy sellers in your audience, but just in case, most people don't know that this is a thing. Etsy has an approved integration with Aweber, where after someone places an order from your Etsy shop, Aweber will send them an email and say, hey, do you want to join my email list? But that email list now lives in Aweber. So they're a regular marketing list. I think Etsy doesn't go out of their way to promote this because it takes people off of their platform.
Yeah.
But it's there and it's approved and it's allowed. So FYI.
So not on Klaviyo.
Well, okay. So disclaimer, I did not read the fine print. Big asterisks here.
Okay.
But what my client did, because she uses Klaviyo, she has her Shopify store. Her goal is to build up Shopify, right? Her own website, but most of her business happens on Etsy. So she invites them to join her list. They go into Aweber, and then we use Zapier to move them over to Klaviyo.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Little workaround.
There we go. Okay, Kels.
Okay, and then our last, it's more of a comment, but from Coolhand99, I have not done any cross promotions, but I've been entertaining the idea, and I really want to try it.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Is that it, Kels?
Yeah, that's it. Simon says for the giveaways, he's not a big fan. He thinks, especially the Facebook ones, suck. They're
Yes.
professional giveaway folks that enter competitions and quizzes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why, like, even with the sweepstakes, you're going to get those people that are just looking for freebies. But once you have for us, it's a 30-day window. If we start sending them out emails and they don't open in a 30-day period, then they get moved off, and we just start targeting the people that do open their emails, because you're just wasting time, wasting money, targeting them. So it's nice to say you got a 50,000, email list. But if only a handful are doing it, check the ego at the door and target the 1,000 or 2 that are opening them up. You'll get better results.
100%. That your total email list number is a vanity metric, just like your Instagram followers are. It really doesn't mean anything.
Hey, I got 5 followers now on Instagram. I'm doing pretty good. All right. So let's get your contact information and then we'll go to our last sponsor.
Fantastic. So you can find me in all the places as eCommerce Badassery, Instagram, website, podcast, all the things. But I also have a free gift for everyone.
Ooh.
I'm not going to tell you what it is because I'm a marketer and I have to leave a little mystery, right? And I want you to go click through. So if you go to ecommercebadassery.com/norm, there's a present there for you.
All right. We'll have to check out that present, Kels. Okay, so let's have a word from our sponsor. Launching products isn't like it used to be. To successfully launch your product, you need to hit that algorithm from all sides. Driving external sales, boosting social signals, and increasing product listing engagement are fundamental to success. Rebate is the first and only launch platform that delivers across this broad range. Get your product featured on Amazon.live through Rebate's influencer program. With this service, your product gets instant exposure to large audiences of shoppers and permanent placement on Amazon Influencer Storefront, which drives perpetual sales. Run a sweepstakes campaign on Rebate and connect with shoppers off Amazon. And lastly, drive external sales with tried and true deals campaigns. Visit rebate.com today and get started with your 14-day free trial. Okay. Now, where is Kelsey?
All right. So it is time for the Wheel of Kelsey. So here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right. So thank you to all of our live listeners who entered today. We do this every single podcast, so make sure you come back Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to enter again. And let's see who today's winner is. So if you're the winner,
Rad. I already know who's going to be Rad.
well, let's
Oh my
see.
God, I
don't
love
think
this.
Oh,
Mascari.
and Mascari just entered like 2 seconds ago.
Very lucky. All right. So please email me, k@lunchwithnorm.com to get your prize. And also don't forget to check out Jessica's link. We posted it here as well. Show Jessica some love. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, fantastic. All right. You are off the hook.
Woohoo!
We made it.
Yay!
Jessica, you were awesome. Thanks for coming
thank
on.
you.
And
My
I got to check
pleasure.
out what the free gift is. Now, see, you even got me curious.
That's the guys marketing tip. Don't give it all away.
That's right.
Don't give it all away. You got to get them to take action.
And Mascari, you got a really great giveaway today. So you'll have to do a little bit of work, fill out a form, but it'll be well worth it when you get a chance to talk to Jessica one-on-one. And as you can see, she knows her stuff. So thank you for coming on today. It was
Thanks
a
for
pleasure
having
speaking
me.
with you. Time flew by. So appreciate it. And hopefully we can have you on again.
Yeah, I would love to.
Perfect.
Anytime.
Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcasts, click over here.
Lunch with the